See, if you find a very cheap Feni, then it's not Feni. Let me be very clear on this.
Okay. The age.
So,
The age of the bark.
So this
That would be
density is
crazy.
required. Selling Feni internationally is much easier than selling across Indian state borders.
Okay.
Because the excise law, it's like a condemnation of Feni. It's like this termed as country liquor. So some of the states' country liquor is banned.
Hi guys, my name is Pratik Joshi and welcome to a special mini series called as What the Feni. And in today's episode, we have my good friend and someone who is taking the name of Feni across the Goan borders and across the Indian borders as well, Mr. Solomon Diniz. Solomon Bab, thank you so much for joining me on this special segment.
Thank you.
So it's my pleasure. And just to start off with, I just keeping it very informal and casual. First of all, tell us a bit about you and Feni.
About me. Having grown in the alcohol business with my father and mother running trading, and distillation was always part of our business, which was done by my forefathers. We just carried forward, and in the year 2000 when our distillery was set up, so we started doing a lot of Indian and foreign liquors as they are known. And Feni was always part of our brands, but never marketed.
Yeah.
But we have seen of late that proper branding and elevating Feni is very important because it is our culture, it is our heritage liquor, and we should be proud of it.
Absolutely. You also said with respect to Feni, the brand now being marketed as a heritage drink or as a cultural drink and now going leaps and bounds. So when you thought of maybe you were already in the business of spirits and alcohol distribution and everything, how did you think about entering this space, marketing it, making a product, and maybe even educating the end customer? Because sometimes even today when you have a choice for a customer between a Feni and maybe something else, he'll always say Feni na kare te baile log pita na te cheap, it's very cheap and stuff like that. So how do we change that, or what is your take on that?
See, Feni as a drink is not, first of all, cheap. In fact, it's the most expensive alcohol to make.
Right.
And if you take into account Coconut Feni, you require a person climbing the coconut tree in the morning, reindeer, and then you require again for him to climb the tree in the evening.
Yeah.
So the amount of labor that is involved is huge, and I will never call it a cheap.
Yeah.
In fact, people ask me why your Coconut Feni is so expensive.
Yeah.
But I say that's what it is.
Yeah.
And when we made Coconut Feni, when we priced it, I had said to myself, even if it doesn't sell, I have no problem.
Yeah.
Because this is what it is and this is how it should be.
Yeah.
Because the people who know Coconut Feni, and when they taste this, they will definitely go back in time. That's
true. Yeah, so you also mentioned about the reindeer. So I'm guessing what is the first starting product when you have to make something like a Coconut Feni?
First you'll get your sur,
right.
which will be fermented for 4 days.
Right.
After 4 days, the first distill will happen, which is called mud up. And after the first distill, which is around 17-18% ABV, it will be second time distill, which will get to around 43% ABV.
That's Coconut Feni.
Yes, that's Coconut.
And for those people who later realize that because initially the mindset is that Feni is Cashew, and then all of a sudden they say, oh, coconut achi Feni meta, or you get Feni in coconut as well. So there, what is the difference between a Coconut Feni, Cashew Feni, and who should choose maybe a Coconut Feni or a Cashew Feni?
See, Coconut Feni was much prior to Cashew Feni.
Right.
Cashew was brought by the Britishers, and then Feni started. Portuguese. And if you ask me, the variations that come through Coconut Feni are huge. People,
crazy,
earlier days when they enter Thaven, they used to say, Maka ale diye. It's based on their health issues. They used to ask for ale or a jire or any other.
Masala, cardamom,
So, ginger magtale. So it's like that. So I would say that a lot of medical advantage also. Until that, people use Coconut Feni for various health benefits when it comes to fever or a headache. So I would say Coconut Feni is one of the best alcohols on the planet.
Of course. But as I said, if someone has to choose now between a coconut and a cashew, what would be your advice there, or what would you advise him if he's confused?
No, I would say both Fenis are equally. I would not be biased to one of those. So it depends on each one's taste and what he would like. If you want more, the drink which can be mixed with various other mixers, then I would suggest a coconut Feni will be more diverse.
So with cocktails, coconut would be better.
Yeah, yes.
And if it's
cashew,
just a drink?
If it's just a cashew, then now iconic the cashew cocktail, which is with limca and chili and lime, is something which will,
That's great. And what, according to, is there a season to drink Feni, or is it throughout the year, or any particular time, any particular event?
See, every fruit has a season. I would say Feni also should have a season as far as cashew is concerned.
Okay.
But coconut is throughout the year,
Yeah.
which I will not have an expert opinion on this, but I feel yes, coconut can be had throughout the year, but cashew is more heaty. I would say it might be good to have during monsoons, and which normally used to be the case because that's just to keep the cold away, they say.
Right.
Initially when you had during just before the monsoons.
Yeah. So also now, as you said about things like the rain air, how difficult it is to find a rain air, get him to do the job, get that extract of sur, distill it, because many people, as you said, the question is, why is it so expensive? Itli marot ki rakh rahe ani kashi parvatta, are people actually buying it? And as you said as well, if it doesn't sell, you are okay with it, because the mindset is that a Feni is the cheapest, 50 rupees, 20, 25 rupees in a tavan. So when today you sell your bottle for around $1,000, so is there feedback coming in, and how do you tackle that feedback from the guest of the expensive part?
See, if you find a very cheap Feni, then it's not Feni. Let me be very clear on this.
Okay.
So
then what is it?
It's probably some essence added and just made to taste like a Feni.
Which is actually, I'm guessing, very, very bad for
Very, very bad.
Yeah.
So this is what we are trying to correct. So there are few people in the industry who have put their mind together and said, we will now standardize Feni and get its, as I said earlier, the right shelf space which it deserves.
Yes.
So for that you have to follow the protocol to the T.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of damage already done.
Yeah.
And to correct that course, the discipline that will require is huge in terms of quality.
I'm guessing it's going to be first of all, changing the mindset, education, then experimenting, then people trying. It's going to take initiative from the people as well. Correct. And then finally it's acceptance.
Yes. See, the best part is people from outside Goa want to drink Feni. But Goans are maybe a little hesitant, but even Goans today are enjoying a lot of cocktails.
Yes, absolutely.
And I would say, the trend is coming to enjoy Feni cocktails.
Yes.
What we have seen over the last 3-4 years is there's a huge transition in the Feni consumption at local bars.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And just as you already addressed, the cheap Feni that you get is usually not Feni.
No.
So in that case, if any techniques or something where you can tell people, how to differentiate between a good Feni and a bad Feni?
It's all again on the taste buds. Now, the moment you put it in your mouth, you should know that this is not the right Feni I'm having.
What is usually the tinge or the hint of Feni that you get?
So if it's a cashew Feni, the smell will determine.
Right.
Then the flavor profile.
Right.
See, as an expert, I will know moment I put on my tongue with the texture itself, whether how much oil is there in the spirit, whether it's just spirit and just additives. So you know the separation of the flavor, the separation of spirit.
But any hack for the common person who is being cheated by maybe someone on the road saying that this is the best Feni or this is a cheap Feni that you can take back home versus a good standard Feni. So a small hack where differentiation can come into place.
This is not 100% this thing, but normally they still lit the Feni and check. So if the fire is nice, then you say, this is a good Feni. But today you can get good high ABV spirits which can also lit. But I wouldn't say it is 100%.
What about taking the bottle and giving it a shake just to see the bubbles and stuff?
Again the bubbles also play a very important role because cashew Feni will have a lot of bubbles.
Right. So I'm guessing it will be on the smell, it will be on the bubbles, and if you can check the burning part, that would be the perfect.
And moment you open any cashew Feni bottle, the house should be smelled of cashew.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
That is also one important aspect, because artificial flavors will not give you that flavor profile and smell.
And if I'm not wrong, artificial flavors will be only there for some time. They will not remain throughout the age.
No, I think with the new GI rules which are to be in place, this will slowly, I think, phase out, and people will look for a GI tag Feni.
Lovely. Yeah. So even we are looking forward to GI coming to the Feni industry, and Feni industry doing great. So I think now can we have a look at the distillery?
Of course, sure.
Definitely.
So as you see, these are the old style distillation. The bahana manta. And
Tamoni, copper.
Copper.
Yeah.
So even the piping is all of copper.
Right.
So if you see, this is the distill. Okay. So this will be around 18% ABV.
Wow.
If you can get the smell, it will be little on the sour side.
Yeah.
See. Now, if the expert distiller comes, by the bubbles itself, he'll understand the strength which is coming out.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Of the mud up.
Of the mud up also,
Wow.
you know. So
That's great.
We are not expert in this, so let's leave it to the experts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But all the grannies and all the grandpas would always sometimes say, people after the distillation they would remove the pot, because this was very, very expensive, 25,000 around 50,000 for the pot, right? And just for the apparatus. So any particular type of wood that you use, or
Yeah, there's a very specific kind of wood which is used by the distiller Lawrence.
Okay.
If you see this wood, you would want a very it should be solid wood, as little air in it. See. So this grains, I mean, this density of wood is required.
Look at the age.
So
the age of the bark.
So this density is required, because this thing, the fire will depend on this wood.
Okay.
He doesn't want just fire; he wants that heat.
Because
and there's a specific wood which will give that kind of specific hit.
Right. Because when anyone sees the pictures or the videos, lakud gala rahe. It's like twigs and any wood that you take and you put it inside. But things like this is what adds that flavor. Yes. Why people have to understand that there's so much cost involved, or that much skill that is involved in making Feni. Yeah. So yeah, I think with that we can make a move towards the bar. So Solomon Bab, now coming to your Tinto expressions, Tawe, tell us a bit more about it, because you had told me initially when you were trying to set it up that this is something that you were very passionate about in terms of the expression center, and you had a certain vision behind it. So you can tell me that vision.
Yeah. So basically, Tinto expressions, we wanted to recreate the whole bar scene again. Because earlier days we didn't have a whiskey culture, or a vodka, or rum, or gin, and we had only ale, jire, mire, and various flavors of Feni. And how to recreate is something which I was pondering on, and then finally we came up with the design, and the old Taven style setup, very rustic looking, is what was in our mind.
Lovely. Yeah. And I can see elements like you have the beautiful colored tiles. You have a wooden table with benches, bakade. Benches. You have an old fan. You have buyams. You have garrafaos. You have the roof tile setup kind of a thing with these authentic lights. Because I remember this in a usually bar it would be a bit down.
Yes.
And you have things like carom, tabla.
See, all these elements which were there, which is to it's something which cannot be put in words actually. You have to feel it. Yeah. And what I felt as a child those days, I had to basically, get to that spirit, how it was, get the whole vibe together in terms of at least the elements. Yeah. Of course, the human touch of those era people is gone, but we can always explain what it was like.
Absolutely.
And the energy that was there, and small pleasures of life, which normally used to be in the corners of the village. Normally it's called a tintiar. That is something we have brought back.
Right. So since you mentioned about TTR, your brand, the Feni brand is called as Tinto.
Yes.
Tell us more about the name.
Coming to that is when we made, we always used to make Feni, but now to brand it and to take it, give it that standard, and the packaging, the appeal. So we went to the minute details of those years. Yeah. So going back in time, alcohol is to come or wine is to come in ceramic bottles.
Yeah.
So that's when we thought we should make our Cashew Feni or Coconut Feni in a ceramic bottle. So we zeroed on the material that is to be used. Then we had to zero on the shape, which I'll explain you later.
Yeah.
And why the name Tinto?
Right.
So normally those days the only entertainment was Tintyar. Tintyar was watching. But Tintyar means there's always a tavern there.
Yeah.
And uncles those days will never say, I mean, sir, kopa oya or taverna basya, kon munso na.
Yeah.
Everybody say Tintyar.
Yeah.
So it is understood that you are going to the tavern,
Yes.
but in the name of going shopping.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's when we said Tinto will be the ideal name for a brand.
Yes.
For Feni. And I feel, yes, that connected again back in time.
Now if you can tell us more about the bottle.
Yeah. So if you see, there are two colors.
Yeah.
So the lighter shade is we have given to the Cashew Feni, and the Coconut Feni we have the darker shades.
Right.
This has come a little off. The manufacturing has to be a little orangish type.
Right.
This is not the actual color. If you see, the man who comes here on top is a reindeer.
Yeah.
So we have given the rising sun.
Rising sun.
Because he's the first person who sees the rising sun
Wow.
from the top of the tree while collecting his sap. So why we have given the oranges?
So reindeer is toddy tapper, just
Yes.
for those who don't know.
Yeah, toddy tapper. So the orangish color which was given to the bottle is to depict the rising sun.
Right.
And a good combination of name, the story, and why the color scheme was chosen is because mostly of the reindeer.
Yeah.
And whereas if you see the Cashew bottle,
Yeah.
of course the bottle design, what we had thought was initially it had come with the Cashew Feni. So if you inverse this bottle upside down,
Yeah.
it is more like a cashew fruit,
Cashew.
and the cashew nut down here.
Yeah.
This is what we have tried to create in the bottle.
And the dimples are just for the grip.
Yeah, for the bartender to hold it nicely, and that's more about it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is this one of a kind bottle which Feni is stored in a ceramic bottle that is commercially stored? Because everyone else sells in the glass.
Yeah. See, earlier days, our alcohol used to come in ceramic bottles when it's to be imported.
Yeah.
And as I said, I wanted to recreate and bring back the time, so I had to pay attention to the bottle as well and what material we use.
Right.
So, to get this bottle, I had to take a long flight all the way to Shenzhen in China,
Wow.
where even foreigners are not allowed. Actually, there are no hotels to stay, but you can, if you can manage a hotel, to stay there. Luckily, I did find very late into the night, but the effort that has gone into this bottle is
Priceless.
humongous, priceless. And there's a particular family in China who does my bottles. So 365 days they are doing only my bottles.
Wow.
Because every bottle is handmade.
Yeah. If you can tell about this.
There's an animal, so there's a ceramic. So basically the bottle will be made and it will remove from the mold, kept for drying, then it will be baked. And if you see this top, the animal, this bottle will be dipped in the animal and removed and then kept for drying. And again, the decal will be applied and again it will be fired in the oven.
Right.
And this is how this bottle is made.
And then the
Laborious
thing comes to Goa.
And then it is shipped out. It will come to Goa and finally on the shelves of Goa.
What was the challenge taking Feni across the Goan borders or shipping it to international locations? How was that experience?
Selling Feni internationally is much easier than selling across Indian state borders.
Okay.
Because the excise law, it's like a condemnation of Feni. It's like it's termed as country liquor. So some of the states' country liquor is banned. So we had to literally sit in the excise and explain that is not the way you see the country liquor.
Yeah, absolutely.
To which I came to a tipping point wherein I had to say to one of the excise officers, "Sir, we are selling Mexico's country liquor, which is tequila, but we are banning our own country liquor, which is Feni.
Absolutely.
I think this is not just."
Justice.
And he said, "Let me think on this." It took him a few hours and he approved our label.
Wow.
And it became that since this state has registered, we will also register. Now we are just waiting for Karnataka to approve Feni, which has not happened. We are trying since 2010. Till date, it is not registered.
Okay.
Because it is termed as country liquor. So once the government of Goa takes Feni out of that country liquor bracket and terms it just Feni, probably we might be just expanding throughout India.
Lovely. Currently, if you don't mind telling, where all Tinto is present?
Right now we are in Meghalaya.
Okay.
Then we are in Daman.
Okay.
We are in Maharashtra. We are in Pondicherry, Yanam, Karaikal, Goa. We are entering West Bengal.
Okay.
And Haryana.
Maharashtra.
Maharashtra we are there.
Okay.
I said
Lovely. So many more places to go, and internationally where all?
At the moment just Thailand.
Okay.
But we are targeting entire Southeast Asia.
Lovely.
So work is on. Probably next will be Singapore and Malaysia, Maldives, all these places.
Amazing.
We'll see Tinto, and it will give
Definitely.
great pride in seeing one of your own brands.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And my tipping point will be I know the owner of Tinto. So I think let's move to the bar, right?
Sure.
This is Solomon's cellar and passion project, and look at the collection. I mean, just look at the collection.
This is one of my favorite coconut Fenis. It's the ginger.
Okay, so 3 rules. I think swirl, sniff, and sip.
Yeah. So you can just
Cheers.
cheers.
Wow. Beautiful. Very smooth. Very tasty.
You can have it just neat, right? On
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you see the flow,
Yeah.
it is so smooth. You just don't feel actually having a Feni.
Absolutely.
So this is what we want to bring back, and very soon you'll be seeing a lot of Tinto expressions in the market.
Oh, lovely. That is great. I would be the first one lining to buy the expression.
Very limited edition. Every time it's out, we will give a certain phone calls to people,
Done.
so they can book in advance.
Amazing. Now coming to something that your mom had in the bars. Coming to now the Garrafaos, if you can tell a bit about your Garrafao passion and the Garrafaos that you have.
I would say more that I'm lucky to have this,
Okay.
and as a person, I'm also thankful that I saved this.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. This is because you don't get it with money
yeah.
also now.
Yeah, and I was gifted a few by my good friends who knew I loved this project, and it was way back in 2005 that few were gifted to me. But the best part is we had preserved this and kept it. And
I'm guessing some of them are from your mom's collection.
yeah, most of them from my mom. I have around 5-6 which are gifted. Rest all hers.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And if you can tell the people watching this video of why the bamboo would be there around the Garrafao.
So basically to handle it in case something hits, so it doesn't break. Basically
And
it's a
also
protection.
the main thing is sometimes people say, right, Feni, if there's a direct contact with sunlight, it sometimes loses its flavor and stuff. So
That part also is there, but I feel it is mostly to protect it from.
Absolutely. And today, if you have something like this, I think you can charge a bomb to people saying that this is what.
No, many have asked, can you spare me one? I said no. That's not possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is priceless. And just now, since we are talking about Garrafaos and a mom and what your mom has passed on to you, every house in Goa at some point, every granny would have a Garrafao stored in the stores where they would keep that Feni as a medicine. A bit about that, if you can tell.
I did mention earlier also that Feni has a lot of medical benefits as well, mostly with coconut Feni. So till date, I don't even apply. I don't give my children also anything when it comes to fever. It will be little jeera mixed with Feni, apply on their belly, on their back, then on their soles, pour it on their head and keep it on a wet cloth. So that normally helps to control the fever.
Absolutely.
I won't say it's 100% medicine, but it's an immediate remedy which we can, go to.
Absolutely. And since Goa is, part of the Konkan region, and since a lot of sun, heat, humidity, this is something that I think all our grandmoms would be doing. And a common thing would be they would put it in a spoon, put some masala and put it on fire for that alcohol to escape. And that is how, local medicines would come in the form of Feni.
Correct. So there's another concoction which was normally done, wherein Cashew Feni was used, and two yolks were removed of the egg, and then beaten with coffee.
Wow. Okay.
And with sugar, coffee, 2 yolks, and a little bit of Feni. You beat it so well, then you add milk, and that concoction was given when you have very bad cough.
Okay.
And I give it till date. I take it myself till date. Yes. And to my children also. In fact, they love it. They sometimes just pretend to have cough. Yeah.
But
So,
lovely.
yeah.
And just as some of the final questions or final thoughts, I would say that what is with respect to just Feni, any cocktail that you look forward to with Tinto Feni or with general Feni?
Yeah, my
Go-to cocktail.
My go-to cocktail, the easiest one to fix is instead of going for a GT, the same formula is applied for Coconut Feni. I
Right.
just my tonic soda and twist
Tonic?
of lime.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is the first time I'm hearing it.
yeah.
Tonic with
Tonic soda with 60 ml of Coconut Feni and lemon and ice. That's it.
Wow.
So it's a wonderful drink.
Done. I
Yeah.
think we need to make a separate video on that combination. But also, since we are talking about Feni, and Urrack also is there in the race when it comes to the summer months. Any thoughts on Urrack versus Feni? Because many people, they know a lot about Urrack, but they don't know about Feni.
No, I wouldn't call it Urrack versus Coconut Feni. I would say Urrack versus the Johny Walkers and the Doers and the
Lovely.
Shivas. They all take a backstage when it comes to Urrack. You see the figures of all these people just plummeting. The beer sales fall. This is the best part.
Yeah.
Wherein a Goan local drink takes over multinationals, and seeing their sales drop to such a low level shows the strength of Feni.
Yeah.
And how we can actually capitalize by producing in the right way.
So let me guess, your go-to drink these 3 months is Urrack.
Of course. Without doubt.
So here we have a pioneer in terms of spirits, drinks, alcohol, having multiple brands, drinking local Urrack for 3 months.
Of course.
That is great.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. And just a final question: what is a message that you want to give to Goans who sometimes look down on Feni, who say that why Feni? Go for a Johnny Walker Black, or go for a Grey Goose or something like that.
So here this question was posed to me by one person in one of my Pune edition.
Okay.
Where there was something known as Finding Feni.
Yeah.
So the question to me was, what are the measures that you have taken to make Feni more popular and to make it a more global and more reachable to the general audience? To that my answer was, I am not the Pernos or the Diageos who can splurge money on Feni, but whatever little we can do in terms of education, little bit of tasting sessions.
Absolutely.
And it's a slow process because we are not big companies who can just take it global.
Yeah.
To my defense, one of the person from the audience got up and said, it is not his duty. It is we Indians who should make our own drink, known to people, speak about it. We are restaurant owners here, all sitting here. Every person who comes should be known what Feni is. And I think we should take the onus of how Feni can be made more popular. So I was very thankful to this gentleman. He owns a restaurant called Malaka Spice in Pune.
Oh, I think it's pretty famous. Okay.
Yeah, so I can openly say that thank you for the support he has given, and I feel this is how we should make Feni famous.
Right.
I would say the owner of Malaka Spice has made it very clear that time. I'm just repeating it, that it is each and everyone's duty to make Feni more popular, and the world should know what tequila is to the world. I think Feni can too. Yeah.
So absolutely. So thank you so much for your time. And we learnt a lot. I personally learnt a lot, and I'm guessing the viewers also had the best time understanding about Feni. So thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure, Pratik.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, and always nice to have you. So guys, do follow, like and subscribe. What the Feni?
On Pratik Joshi, the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Solomon. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.